Hi, let's examine the basic duties of the no brokerage relationship.
No brokerage relationship, non-representation. A seller or a buyer can choose not to be represented. It is common for a buyer or seller to recognize the benefit of working with the real estate licensee, with the licensee acting in an agency capacity. However, if the buyer or seller is comfortable handling the transaction without the assistance of an agent's knowledge or skill, then the buyer or seller may waive agency representation. The waiving of agency would create a no brokerage relationship. Customer means a member of the public who is or may be a buyer or a seller of real property and may or may not be represented by a real estate licensee in an authorized brokerage relationship. Duties. In the no brokerage relationship, the broker is bound to deal with the buyer or seller in the following manner. 1. Deal honestly and fairly. 2. Disclose all known facts that materially affect the value of residential property that are not readily observable to the buyer. 3. Account for all funds entrusted to the licensee. Why a no brokerage relationship? A common question that I often get is, when is it appropriate to establish a no brokerage relationship with someone? It is common for a licensee to approach a for sale by owner when the licensee has a buyer that seems like a good fit for a property. In the case of the for sale by owner, the property owner wishes to represent him or herself. In fact, he or she has already elected to not use an agent upon making the property available for sale without the assistance of a real estate licensee. The licensee may still write a contract on the property on behalf of the buyer. However, the licensee in this situation would most likely be in an agency relationship with the buyer and a no brokerage relationship with the seller. Deal honestly and fairly. Regardless of what type of relationship a real estate licensee is engaged as, the licensee must always be honest and treat all parties fairly. And the licensee must treat all parties honestly and fairly, even if being directed not to do so by a party that has engaged the licensee as an agent. Disclose all known facts that materially affect the value of residential property which are not readily observable to the buyer. Regardless of what type of relationship a real estate licensee is engaged as, a material defect that can affect the value of the property must be disclosed. A material defect is any fact about what is wrong with the property that may have a significant and reasonable impact on the market value. Licensees and property sellers often find themselves in the middle of lawsuits that result directly from the failure to properly disclose material defects, may be charged with misrepresentation and/or fraud. The duty to disclose is always in effect, regardless of whether a buyer conducted a property inspection or waived a property inspection. So, if there are hidden cracks to the structure or damage to walls or floors that are unseen yet known, the broker and licensee acting for the broker must disclose this information. Don't hide a flaw. This is a crucial point to emphasize. Material defects are things that are wrong with the property that affect value, and it is never okay for you to hide something that you know is wrong. You're going to learn about this concept in more depth later in the course. For now, understand that regardless of what type of relationship that you have with an individual, disclosure of material defects must always be made, regardless of whether it is something such as a broken tile in the living room or a burnt mark on a countertop or a structural issue. All must be disclosed. Accounting for all funds entrusted to the licensee. Regardless of what type of relationship a real estate licensee is engaged as, the licensee must account for all funds. When real estate transactions involve earnest money deposits and other monies connected with payments for inspections, surveys, etc., brokers and licensees are commonly entrusted with large amounts of money connected with these transactions. Where is the money? All funds must be accounted for at all times. To be blunt, this seems like a no-brainer, right? If you're going to be working in the capacity of a real estate licensee and you accept a deposit for a real estate deal, the money must be deposited into the appropriate trust account. However, not all licensees follow this rule. When they don't, though, it always ends badly for the licensee. Not accounting for funds is not just breaking license law, it is theft.